what they just did, and they want to come back year after year. So we're going to kind of quickly run through a little bit about camp, not a comprehensive webinar by any means. So please type in those questions. I'll be happy to answer. But a quick overview upon some of the most frequently asked questions that parents have, answer any of the questions that are still lingering out there, and then go from there. So for those of you, it's really difficult to get to know a camp without visiting. So what you're looking at on the screen is a shot of camp taken by one of our campers this past summer. So kind of in the bottom middle with all those trees, that's where our camp is located. So we have over 200 private acres and surrounded by thousands of acres of national forest. So we're pretty secluded in the wilderness. On the left-hand side, we do have a small rock outcropping, and that's where we do a lot of our rock climbing for the kids. So there's multiple routes, multiple difficulties that they could choose from. On the right-hand side, we have a big outcropping called the castle, and this is where a lot of team building activities happen, a lot of hiking for the older kids, a really prominent formation that's out there. And then right in between is Wellington Lake, a high alpine lake that we have, where we do stand-up paddleboarding, canoeing, kayaking, hiking, and a variety of different activities. So at Avid for Adventure this summer, we're kind of transitioning into what we want and kind of redefining our mission. And what we're really all about is empowering kids to choose a lifetime of outdoor adventure. Our goal is ultimately not create professional athletes in camp, but instead to create better human beings who come out of camp with better decision-making skills and conflict resolution and leadership. And then we want to empower them to be able to go into the outdoors and recreate safely and take their friends and their families out there. We're going to quickly go through a couple of views at camp so you have an idea of what the environment the kids will be in. So this is a great shot of camp from our dining hall. And so we've got a stocked pond. We put about 500 fish in there per year for fly fishing. There's a couple trails for mountain biking. Another view of our pond. So we do a lot of stand-up paddleboarding, canoeing, and kayaking. We also do logging and some swim time as well. Here's one of the cabins. The cabins are great. So a lot of these are built in the 1800s, and they were brought, and so it ran from the 1800s and early 1900s as a summer camp, and in the 1970s was purchased by Jefferson County Schools. So we have the look and the feel of a traditional summer camp, but brought up to the standards of a school where we have fire suppression systems and pool stations and all sorts of great things. A view of our dining hall, so a multi-purpose facility for us. So we've got bathrooms in there, we've got our cafeteria where we actually eat, we have backcountry classrooms, and so much more. All right, so one of the questions I often get from parents is, how are you different from other camps? How are you unique? Why would we choose Avid for Adventure? And that's a great question. There are lots of really, really great programs in Colorado, but there are 3 ways that we really distinguish ourselves and step out. You know, the first is our positive risk-taking. So if you think about when you were little and you were younger on a playground, and what did that look like? There wasn't 12 inches of padding underneath. All of the structures had sharp corners made of metal. If it was really hot outside, you couldn't even get on the slide. But we all participated and recreated and had a great time. And unfortunately, a lot of that has been lost over the years, and kids have lost their sense of grit and lost their sense of risk-taking. And that's something we really, really want to bring back to them. We want to take a child and find what their comfort zone is, and then we want to get them to that point and then push them a little further. We want them to feel a little uncomfortable and get out of their comfort zone. And then, once they're there, their comfort zone then expands. And once they've now had an expanded comfort zone, we'll push them even further. Again, what we're really trying to do is empower these children to know that if they take risks, there are great outcomes that can come out of it. Our second one is safety-minded focus. We are really, really serious about managing our risks and being a safe place for campers and staff, both physically and mentally. We have spent numerous years developing a comprehensive risk management plan, so procedures and protocol for activities for living in a community and in a camp environment. We currently meet and exceed over 300 standards set forth by the American Camp Association. And this is our 12th summer, and we've been accredited for the past 12 years, really not missing any standards at all. And part of that is we invest really heavily in the training of not only our staff, but the campers as well. So we want them to, again, feel safe in the outdoors. And what distinguishes us a little bit from some of the other programs out there is, rock climbing, for example. Instead of a child coming up and we're putting on a harness and we're tying them in and we're belaying them and doing everything for them, we let them do everything themselves. They learn to put on the harness and adjust it. They learn all the proper safety knots and they tie it. A lot of times they are belaying each other up the wall, and they really do have to have that trust and that comfort level with one another. And of course, we're always there to make sure everything is safe. But again, it's all about empowering the kids to be the best selves that they can be. And then last is our incredible staff. Our staff are trained with high moral standards, and they serve as positive role models to the children. So we have a minimum of 2 counselors for 13 kids. So it's about a 1 to 6.5 ratio, where other camps are floating right about 1 to 10, with a lot of them in the 1 to 18 range. So we like to keep our groups really small and intimate so we can engage them and have a much more deeper experience for them as well. Staff come highly recommended, and they go through an extensive interview process just before they even talk to me. So whether that's their application, which gets trained, and then a phone conversation, then a Skype conversation, and then it's sent over to me to talk to them to see if they fit the culture, they have the skills and the experience. And then the final step is we have the prospective staff meet with our current staff, who take them out in the field climbing and biking and boating, and they grill them, and they want to see if they can handle kids under pressure. They want to see what happens if there's a potential emergency situation. They want to check their skills. So we have a really highly trained, qualified, and dynamic staff with an average of 24 years old, far above and beyond what the industry standard is for the staff. All right. And so safety-minded focus as well. Let me touch back on that. Part of the things that we do is we really talk to the kids about risk management and environmental management. Excuse me. We want them to be able to identify the risks before they participate in an activity. And we want them to know what to do in case there is an emergency. So for example, before they go hiking, we ask them, what risks do you see? What are some potentially dangerous things? And we start getting them to think about, oh, it's sunny outside. We need sunscreen and a hat and a water bottle, or there's loose rocks. Make sure your shoes are tied. And we just really want to get them thinking, so when they take you guys out recreating, they know exactly what to do and how to do it in a safe way. Another example is when we go canoeing. Before we throw the kids in a canoe and have fun, we have them paddle out to the middle of the lake and swamp their boats. So the first experience is, what do you do if there's an emergency? If your boat swamps, how do you properly do a rescue for it? So we're really excited about that as well. One of the things we talked about is empowering all the campers. So each of the different grade levels has a different focus to it. So the 2nd through 4th grade focuses on independence and comfortability. The 4th through 6th grade, teamwork and communication. 7th grade and up through high school focuses on conflict resolution, decision making, and kind of leadership skills. And a lot of these topics came out of parent focus groups where we said, what do you want your child to get out of camp? So for the 4th to 6th graders, they said, we want to learn teamwork and communication. There's not a whole lot of 10-year-old boys who excel at teamwork and communication. The 2nd through 4th graders really wanted independence and comfortability. Independence being away from home, comfortability being in a new environment, away from home for an extended period of time. So in all of our curricula, we really build it around these core topics designed for the kids. At the bottom, you'll see just some sample activities of what all the campers do. So everyone participates in rock climbing, mountain biking, kayaking, canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding, hiking, and so much more. One of the additional things is we want to keep camp fresh year after year for all of your campers. So it's not the same experience when they come back 2 or 3 years in a row. And we do that by introducing specialized activities specific to each age group. So for our 2nd through 4th graders, not only do they get to do all the activities I mentioned, but they also get to participate in horseback riding and whitewater rafting, as well as a one-night expedition. When we move to our 4th to 6th grade, they take a step up And now they're doing fly fishing in our stocked pond that we have. They're doing a 6 zip line experience, which puts them on the longest and fastest zip line in Colorado. They bump up to a 3-day expedition in the backcountry of Leadville. They do a service project. And then at this grade level is where we start introducing some hard skills, some transferable knowledge they could bring with them outside of camp, which includes Leave No Trace certification. So every single one of our staff are trained as National Leave No Trace instructors who will then run Leave No Trace awareness courses for every camper at camp. So they walk away with the national training, which they could put on their resume, and it's just a great experience all around. Once you move up to the 7th to 8th grade, we throw in tree climbing for them. They do a solo, so an extended solo in the wilderness. They do a peak ascent. They go sailing. They bump up to a 5-day expedition in the backcountry of Steamboat, as well as their Leave No Trace certification, and so much more. So camp also includes log rolling and archery and low ropes course and 9 square and gaga pit and slacklining. So there's a lot that goes on outside of these differentiating activities. And once you move up to high school, it's a whole different type of program. These are the kids who are really looking toward their future and building a resume and kind of figuring out what they want to do with their life. So we give them additional skills. So they go on a 6-day expedition into Rocky Mountain National Park. They get certified in CPR and first aid. Not only do they do the Leave No Trace certification, but they become national instructors as well. So they could come back home and run courses for their friends and their family and their classmates and neighbors. So really, really great experience with activities that they could take home with them. Additionally, the way that we structure our curricula, it's designed to allow children to move up throughout the years. So even though we teach rock climbing in all of the grade levels, there's different skills being taught that build upon each other. By the time you're in high school, these kids are building their own anchors and climbing on it. So again, empowering them even further. So the parent experience. So a lot of parents out there, we're finding it's not really the kids that are hesitant to go to camp. It's the parents that are hesitant to let them go to camp. And it's totally normal. So how do we make overnight camp great for the parents? And there are a few ways. So one of them is we take photos of your kids every single day of a 2-week session or a 1-week session. So our counselors are equipped with GoPro cameras, and they put together adventure films as well as digital cameras. And they take group photos as well as individual photos. We upload them to the website. And so every day after work, you can come home and check out what your child's doing. So whether they're rafting or backpacking or climbing or zip lining, and you can see how much fun that they're having. You're also going to get weekly updates from me just telling you how the groups are doing and what they're going to be doing. If there's bad weather, if there's changes. I mean, I will stay in contact with you to make you feel at ease. I'm also accessible at all times by phone or email. So please, if there's ever a question or concern, just email me, call me, and I would love to chat with you and get it taken care of. And then we can also provide care packages that you leave for your child. So you can bring them on registration or you can mail them in, and we deliver them throughout the week, as well as email. So you have an option to email us. We print those off, distribute that to your camper at dinner time, as well as regular postal mail that comes in as well. And we do provide times for your children to write home to you, and we can provide envelopes and stamps as needed, and we mail those out 2 or 3 times a week. So you'll be able to know, not only see the pictures, but you can communicate with your child and get letters home from them as well. So the essentials. So these are like the top couple of questions that parents always have about camp. So like I mentioned, camp was built back in the 1800s, 1900s, but brought up to the standard of a school. And with it being brought up to the standard of the school, we have some incredible facilities, which includes our health clinic. It's above and beyond what you would ever find at a school or another camp. So it's very spacious and private, so private bathrooms, private bunks, fully stocked and supplied. We have a 24-hour on-site nurse that lives there. All of our medication is stored there, including counselor medication, so aspirin. They have to go get it under lock and key from the nurse. And the nurse is great. I mean, she serves as a motherly figure at camp for those who are feeling a little homesickness. if in case there's any other issues with bedwetting. Like we take care of it pretty discreetly, so no one really knows what's going on at all. In addition to the health clinic, all of our staff are a minimum of wilderness first aid, with almost everyone, a majority being wilderness first responders and a lot of EMTs. So when there are issues at camp, mostly during mountain biking, they fall and scrape up knees and elbows. We take care of it in the field and we teach the kids how to do it as well. So there's not a line of 15 kids outside the nurse's station with a sunburn or needing a band-aid. The food is one of the things we consistently get incredible feedback on. We have high quality food and we have lots of it. So we provide a full range of meals complete with fruits and vegetables and meat and lots of liquids. Every day at breakfast, we have a fruit bar with granola and yogurt in addition to the main meal. And every lunch and dinner is a fully stocked salad bar. We really try to stay away from cafeteria food of corn dogs and sloppy joes and tater tots. And we really want to keep these kids active and promote healthy lifestyles. That's what we do all the way down to our foods. So it's very healthy food. So they're eating pork chops and eggplant parmesan and vegetable lasagnas and chicken and all sorts of great things. And we do really accommodate to all dietary needs and restrictions. So lots of gluten-free and vegan and vegetarian and dairy, lactose. We can accommodate all of that pretty easily. And if you're interested in seeing more, we do have sample menus online that you could take a look at as well. And I know there's a question that, your child's a picky eater, but we're at high elevation. We do so many activities. They're so hungry. And in the end, they end up loving it. Part of it's because all their friends are eating it and they try it and love it. So we are really proud of our food program at camp. So the weather out there, a question. So we're about 8,400 feet in elevation. So during the day, it's like 75 to 85 degrees on average. And at night, it's like 40s to 50s. We do get rain and snow and thunderstorms occasionally. Most likely, it's in the afternoons for about 20 minutes at a time, and then it clears up. However, we recreate through a variety of weather. So we want the kids to know it's okay to be outside when it's raining and when it's cold. Don't go inside and play video games. Like, get used to it. So we'll recreate in the weather as long as it's not lightning, anything like that. And then our facilities. We have great facilities, like I mentioned. We have a centrally located bathhouse, which is being completely renovated this year. So new stalls and new flooring. Last year, we installed new roofs on the cabins as well as mattresses and bunks. A lot of our cabins do have in-cabin restrooms, and we generally give those to like all-girl groups or the younger guys. But everything is within a 5-second walk of the centrally located bathhouse, which has 16 private stalls. And then we also have other facilities like our archery range and our trading post and great things like that. So perks, I'm going to wrap up here and then we'll take some questions. So perks, definitely, if you're interested in signing up for camp, and we hope that you are, please take a look at your calendar. We're about 60% at capacity right now and anticipating by like April 1st to be completely sold out. So if you're interested, take a look at your calendar, and here's a couple of great perks for signing up. So the early bird discount through the February 28th, when you register or you can call in, type in webinar or mention it, and you get $75 off your session. And a good one is a refer a friend. So this one has no cap on it, so you can use it as many times as you want, and I really do encourage you to do it. So and if someone registers, make sure you put down my name that you heard about camp from me or one of your friends or your neighbors, and you will get $20 off a session, and so will they. So if you refer 5 friends, they would get $100 off, so $20 each, and you would get $100 off yourself for your session. Again, no cap to that. And the way you can pay is just upfront with a credit card, or you could put a deposit down of $250 with the balance due on April 1st. So with that $250 down, you can pay the balance April 1st, or you can log into your account and you can pay monthly as much as you would like. If you want to do 200 or 300, like a credit card type of thing. So we'll go ahead and take some questions here. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box and I'll kind of read through them for it. Please definitely check out our website at avidfloor.com. We have a a great layout that was just introduced in December. So it really talks about the individual groups, has a frequently asked question page for parents as well as for campers, packing lists, sample menus, anything you really would want to know about camp. Or just email me, ian@avid4.com. And one other option, if you really want to learn more about camp, I would love to come to your house and host a house party. Completely free for you guys. You get some friends, family, neighbors, coworkers to come on down, and I bring some staff with me. It's about an hour to an hour and a half, and we give you an extended version of this presentation with videos and pictures and kind of answer any and all questions that you have. So I'll go ahead and I'll take some questions right now. So I see, please tell me where majority of their campers live when they're not at camp. That's a great question. So a lot of our campers are from the Front Range. So Boulder and Denver, Highlands Ranch, Golden, Fort Collins. So, but we do get them from all over Colorado. So we get a lot from Eagle and Grand Junction, Breckenridge, things like that. But we also do get quite a number of campers who are from out of state. So a lot of campers from Texas and a lot from Michigan. We do get a number from California and then a number of international campers as well. So we welcomed this summer a couple of children from Russia, some from China, Ecuador, England, and Mexico. So kind of all over the places where the campers come from. All right, next question I have. Is there an option for a 1 week session for fourth to sixth graders? So yes and no. So all of our sessions are 2 weeks in length. And that a lot of research has gone into this, and the groups go through their stages of group development. They're forming, storming, norming, etc. during the first week. So a lot of times, if camp's experience ended after 1 week, they are not getting the full benefit of camp and the outcomes that we're really trying to get. So a 2 week session is ideal. So it's perfect for us. However, the second through fourth graders, and these are kids who are going into those grades in the fall. So if you have a third grader now, you would be registering for the fourth grade. So our second through fourth grade groups are only a 1 week session. However, our fourth through sixth grade group is a 2 week session with the overlap of the fourth grade. So some fourth graders are indeed ready for a 2 week experience, and some just aren't there yet. So they have the option to do a 1 week. So hopefully that helped answer that question. Mm. So a great question. Tell me about your counselors, their qualifications, their age, how long their tenure at camp has been, and so forth. That's a great question. Excuse me 1 second. A great question. I love our staff. That is one of my favorite parts of the job is getting the staff and seeing how excited they are and really instilling in them this sense that they have the chance to change a child's life and seeing them take that and run. So our staff, our average age is 24 years old for our staff, so a little bit older, with a lot of our staff being older, such as myself. Um, so minimum qualifications: wilderness first aid, CPR, bloodborne pathogen, van driver training, small craft safety for canoeing and kayaking, leave no trace, and child abuse recognition and prevention. And that's the minimum certifications that all of our staff come with. However, many come with above and beyond qualifications, which is great, whether that's an American Mountain Guide Association top rope site administrator, leave no trace master educator, a lot of EMTs. We get the staff who are experienced. We get those who are professional outdoor educators who love being with kids and know what they're doing. However, again, our goal is not to build professional athletes to come out of camp. It's to create better human beings. So although we really do look for the expertise and the technical skill that the staff have, we're really also interested very, very much in, can they connect with children? Can they keep them safe? Are they passionate about what they do? And due to the length of this webinar, we cut out a bunch of slides, but one of them is a picture of my daughter. And she's 4 years old, and she lives at camp with me, with my wife. And when I create camp, and when I create the curricula, and when I hire the staff, what I have in mind is is this good enough for my family? Is this good enough for my child? Because if it is for me, it is for you. So I want to be able to create a program and create an incredible staff where I can hand a 4-year-old girl over to the staff and for the next 12 hours, not even have a second thought that she's being taken care of. She's safe. She's in a warm, loving environment. She's learning appropriate skills. And that's what we really try to do with all of our staff. Right. And then the second part was how long their tenure has been. So we are currently at about 90% retention rate. The average resident camp in the United States is a little under 60%. So 9 out of 10 staff return to us. And the staff that don't return is because they've moved on, they found full-time employment, they're moving across the country, traveling, etc. Things like that. So next question. My daughter was at Windy Peak for outdoor lab. Is it the same chef and menu, same year-round staff, such as the nurse? The answer is no. So it's an entire Avid for Adventure staff. We work really closely with Windy Peak, but we take over the entire facility. That includes the maintenance, that includes the chef in the kitchen, the nurse, and Windy Peak is a phenomenal program, great staff. But again, they're a school, and I don't want to talk down about them, but they have cafeteria workers. They don't have, child, cooks who love children. They have people who are there to do their job. And so we found a great mix with our chef and our nurse of people who put children before nursing, before cooking. And so we're really proud of that for it. Great. Next question. How many kids per cabin, and do the counselors sleep in the cabins with the kids? That's a great question. So yes, the sleeping situation, single sex cabins, and we have a wide range of cabins which hold anywhere from 12 people total to 28 people. So if we have multiple groups of the same age, so if you have 3 groups of the 4th to 6th graders, they're each have individual groups. However, in the evening time, we may combine all of the girls from those 3 groups, so all the same grade levels and ages, into one cabin to accommodate them all. And so at that point, they would have 6 counselors in their cabin. Um, so we do that quite a bit, combining, but we make sure that there's a minimum of 2, and sometimes we have 8 counselors in some of our larger cabins. And the counselors do sleep in there with the kids while they're there. So we provide care and supervision really 24 hours a day while they're there. Right. Next question I have. What is your opinion on a 1 week versus a 2 week camp for a 6th grade boy? Great question. Unfortunately, we only have a 2 week session for that grade level. But the 6th grade get to do a lot of amazing things. I encourage you to check out the website to read more of what they do, from log rolling to fly fishing to everything like that. But in the 6th grade, we really build up the children. So one of the questions, kind of turning this around, one of the questions that comes out at camp is, what if my child is nervous or has never done an activity or can't participate or can't keep up? And that's what makes them a little weary of jumping into a 2 week commitment. And all of our curricula is designed to provide different options and different levels of difficulty for the kids. So when we're climbing, we have multiple routes set up. When we're biking, we have multiple trails, a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We allocate additional staff to activities such as climbing and biking to be able to support and engage with those campers and make them feel comfortable. So there's never a time when someone feels left out or will get teased because they can't do it, because we provide age-appropriate activities and skill levels for every camper that we have. All right. So next question, can you compare the skills and activities done at day camp versus overnight camp? That's a great question. So day camp is really an introduction to Avid for Adventure. Day camp is all about exposure and comfortability. Day camp is allowing children who've never participated in some of our sports, such as stand-up paddleboarding or rock climbing, an opportunity to do it and to expose them to that. Once you get to overnight camp, although we do a lot of the same activities of biking and boating and hiking and survival, we take it a step further. Again, it's all about empowering the kids. It's an education that we're giving them. So we're taking them further than they've ever gone in day camp, and we're pushing their comfort zones that we talked about. So day camp, they may be comfortable biking on, trails in Boulder, but then when you go to overnight camp, we take them on Buffalo Creek. It's world class Olympic training grounds. So it's a whole different level, and we push them, we expand those comfort zones, and we really develop them into a leader. And the big difference is at day camp, you have such a limited focus of time with them that you may only have 2 hours devoted to biking. Where at overnight camp, we have an entire day dedicated to it, and we have choice periods. So if a child really, really loves mountain biking and wants to learn more, they have an opportunity to continue building those skills during our choice periods. Mm. So please go through all the activities offered at camp. So we have a wide range of activities. Again, they're all listed on the website, so you'll have a more comprehensive list there. But in addition to our core sports, rock climbing, mountain biking, canoeing, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, expeditions, we have all of our specialized activities, which were mentioned: zip lining, horseback riding, tree climbing, sailing, fly fishing, things like that. And then we do also offer, and we don't talk about it a lot, the traditional camp activities. So we have archery that everyone gets to participate in. We have a basketball court and sports area, but we also do bouldering and slacklining and crate stacking and log rolling. We have a disc golf course, a brand new renovated low ropes challenge course that we do with them. So they get a lot of activities. In addition to every night, we also do all camp activities. So whether that's a wacky Olympics or a survivor, amazing race type of activity, we keep them pretty jam-packed with activities that they won't ever get bored. So where are you located, and how would we get our son to camp? So that's a great question. We are located in Bailey. So Bailey is near like Conifer, Evergreen type of area. It's on 285. So it's like from Golden, you jump, or Denver area, you jump on 285. It's like 90 minutes into the mountains from Denver. So in Bailey, Colorado, is where we're located. And how would you get your son there? At this point, we do not offer any sort of transportation or shuttle. So parents would come day one. And this is by design as well, because we want you to see the camp. We want you to feel comfortable. So you would bring your child, and there's lots of emails that go out that talk about the drop-off times, things like that. You come to camp, and then we give you a full camp tour. You get to meet myself, the assistant director, program director, the nurse, the chef. Anyone you want to meet is there. We talk about camp, answer your last minute questions, and put you at ease. So definitely the parents bring the children down, and then parent day at the end of the session, you come back to pick them up, but you get to have a little bit of fun as well. So bring your bathing suits, bring your helmets and bikes, because your kids are going to take you out and they're going to show you what you learn, whether that's they learn stand-up paddleboarding or biking or archery, something like that. All right. Concerns for animals. Have there been any altercations in the past? Great question. Sorry. So absolutely zero concern for animals. We are in the wilderness. We have animals. We frequently see coyotes and fox and elk and moose, and we've had several bears come through camp. None of these animals pose a risk to us, and we use it as a learning um, period for these kids. So if we saw a bear last year roll through camp, we brought everybody out at a safe distance to say, hey, look at this. Don't be afraid of what's in the woods. And then we talk to them. What happens if a bear attacks you? What happens when you turn a corner and there's something there? So again, we use teachable moments every moment we can to make them feel comfortable in the woods and empower them to make decisions and know what to do. But we've never had an animal attack. We've never had a situation where we would have to get indoors or anything. It just doesn't happen. And realistically, these animals are more afraid of us than we are of them out there. So what preparation do you recommend that we do with our children prior to sleepaway camp for the first time? Great question. This is one we actually have on the website as well, some parent resources, including like what do I do to prevent homesickness? How do I get my child ready for camp? So I would say if they're not used to being away from home, send them away to a sleepover, to their friend's house, so that they get used to being away from parents and their pets and their siblings, things like that, just so it's more comfortable for them. Definitely, get them outside, have them start riding their bike, take some hikes, just get used to being outdoors. So that's a huge thing for it. But really preparing them, we're not doing anything so strenuous that you have to get on a workout plan by any means. And again, it's at almost 9,000 feet. So the first couple of days, everyone's huffing and puffing up there, hard to catch their breath. So we take it slow, and we are very, we intentional in how we sequence our activities and build up to it. So our expeditions don't happen day one. They happen the following week or at the end of the week when they've had a chance to acclimatize and really get their feet under them. So what equipment, sleeping bags, gear, etc., do the kids need to bring? So really nothing. We provide absolutely everything you can want, from helmets to harnesses to paddles to ropes to PFDs to boats to bikes. We have it all for you. And one of the things we really don't talk about too much at camp is we replace our gear annually. So we purchase 700 or 800 bikes, high-end quality bikes. We use them for the summer and sell them off and purchase brand new gear. And we do the same thing with rock climbing equipment and our stand-up paddleboards, because we want to provide the absolute best professional equipment that there is out there for the children. We want them to recreate safely, and we want them to know how to use proper equipment. You guys are more than welcome and encouraged to bring your own bikes if you want to. And we would love to teach you how to ride it properly. We would love to size the bike appropriately, because a lot of those aren't sized when you get them. The only pieces of gear that we really don't provide are sleeping bags and backpacks for expedition. However, we do offer them for rent for a really, really low cost for the session of like $15. So if your camper, it's the first time they've ever backpacked and you're not really sure if they're going to like it, please, please, please don't go to REI. Don't spend $250 on a backpack, only having to have to return it or sit in your closet. If it's your first time, just rent the backpack, and we clean it, we take care of it, we maintain it. And then afterwards, if they really loved it and they want to pursue backpacking, you can buy that backpack from us at the end of the season as we move forward and purchase new equipment. Great. All right. For ninth graders, how many boys and how many girls will be on the trip to Rocky Mountain? That's a great question. So for our teen leaders, our high schoolers, our groups are capped at 10 with 2 counselors, so a ratio of 1 to 5. And our high schoolers, realistically, it's like a 50-50 split. We really truly get 50% boys and 50% girls. And then we have a male and female counselor who go with them, in addition to sometimes our trip director as well. And so they go out there, they sleep in single sex tents. They're kind of separate campgrounds where they're at, but it's about 50-50. All right. Do you put siblings together in the same group or cabin? Excuse me one second. Great question again. I could go on forever about this topic. There are pros and cons worth exploring for, should I be in the same group as my sibling or my neighbor or my friend. In reality, the truth is a very, very large majority of our campers come to camp by themselves, not knowing anybody, and we know that. We acknowledge that. That's why we start off camp with team building activities and leadership skills, and really break down those barriers, have them become comfortable so they're open with each other. Siblings are great at camp. I personally, if you had siblings, would probably split them up and we could put them in different groups, only because they tend to form cliques and they tend to stay together and kind of put up a wall with other campers. It's not true for everyone, but we see it a lot. So by being in different groups allows a child to not rely on one another. It allows them to really show their true selves that they may not show at home or at school, but there's plenty of opportunity throughout the session for them to be together. Our open rec times, our choice activities, every meal in the dining hall, they have the option to be together, so they don't sit by cabin. So plenty of chances to be together. All right. My niece third grade and daughter fifth grade want to attend overnight camp. Will they be together? So just like I kind of mentioned, we third grade and fifth grade would be two separate sessions. So they would not be in the same group together. They most likely would not be in the same cabin together because we're not going to put a fifth grader or higher with a third grader. However, plenty of opportunity to see each other at meals and activities and during our ceremonies and opening and closing campfires. And if there's really a time when a child is feeling a little overwhelmed or missing home, we'll absolutely put them together so they can talk and work it out for sure. All right. So, can you talk about the expedition for the seventh and eighth grade as well as the sixth grade? Great. So, seventh and eighth grade, one of my absolute favorite grade levels. So we transitioned from a high adventure, really fun, nonstop adventure camp to once you hit the seventh grade to more of an expedition style leadership program. So they spend 5 days up in Medicine Bow Route National Forest up near Zirkle Wilderness in Steamboat, and they have the opportunity to put together their expedition. So they plan their own menus, they choose their own food, they measure everything, they pack it out, they learn their leave no trace, they learn all the backcountry classroom stuff we do, like how to properly hang a bear bag and campsite selection and how to read weather patterns, all sorts of things like that. They also have leaders of the day. So each of the kids or a duo of kids take an opportunity to be leaders. So if there are tough decisions that need to be made, such as which trail do we go to? Do we stay at this campsite or move on because the weather's looking a little sketchy? They have the opportunity to step up and be a leader. And sometimes it's forced, and that's by design. Again, we want to push them out of those comfort zones. And 5 days in the wilderness is it's a pretty significant amount of time. Um, a lot of these kids have never spent 5 days in the wilderness not seeing a car or a road or building or sometimes other people other than their own group. So a lot of times it's a really life-changing experience for them, especially when they have an opportunity to do a few hours solo where they are by themselves. Our staff lurk around in the woods and watch them and make sure that they're okay, but it's an opportunity for them to reflect on their life and to journal and just be with themselves and think about when the last time you had a few hours just to yourself. I can't even think of mine, so it's a great, powerful experience. And the sixth graders, they get to go to Leadville, into the backcountry of Leadville, and same thing. So they learn all the expedition skills, just not as in depth as a 5 day experience. But they do the route planning, they do the route finding. They set up their camps and their tents, they cook all their food, they learn about backcountry cooking on a stove, and all sorts of really great things like that. All right. So I'm sorry, let me get water for 1 second. I apologize. All right, all right. Question is, sometimes my son needs to be pushed in situations. Will your counselors push and motivate? I want him to get the most out of it, but I believe he needs to be pushed, or he may sit back and watch. A great question. We push gently. Again, it all goes back to we keep small ratios on purpose so we can have an intimate and engaging experience with every single child at camp. So we have a capacity for 175 kids. We will never get above 115 kids, 120. I want to personally know these kids and know every single one of their names. And I want the staff to build the rapport with them. And you just can't do it with so many kids. So when it comes to pushing them a little bit further outside of their comfort zones and their boundaries, we have become pros at that. So we know all the little hints and tricks to, take a child who's a little nervous or overwhelmed or unsure of themselves, and we ease into it. So we push and we don't let up, but we don't do it in a way that's going to turn them off or make them just not want to be at camp. So maybe that's making them, forcing them to be the leader of the day where they have to make decisions, And what's great about it is the kids that come to camp or Colorado Mountain Camp, they're not there because their parents force them to be there. They're there because they want to be there. So when there's situations where they notice that there's other kids who are feeling a little left out or uneasy or overwhelmed, it's incredible how they come and create this support system for each other in the groups and the cabins, and they're the ones who really push each other. So staff are there to kind of like give guiding direction, but it's really the kids helping each other out. So I can't think of a single situation where a child needed to be pushed, and when he was, it didn't result in incredible outcomes. All right. So can you describe the solo a bit more? Yeah, so a solo is a great transformative, powerful experience that we use. So really depending on your group, it may be a 1 hour solo, it could be a 6 hour solo. But essentially what we do is, we walk through the woods and we have kids assigned to a tree and they can't leave the area. And we put them about, an eighth of a mile, quarter of a mile away where they can't see each other. And they're out there and our staff are always, always present. They're moving between kids, they're watching them, they're making sure everything's safe. The kids have their journal with them, they have some food, they have some water, a sleeping pad to sit on. But it really is an opportunity for them to reflect on their life, reflect on their experience, reflect on, everything that they've done or want to do, what changes they want to make in their life. Are they having difficulties at school? How can they take what they've learned and transfer it to help them out in the real world? It's a great experience, and oftentimes becomes a great campfire debrief where a lot of them are really crying because it's the first time they've ever like sat there and come to these realizations about themselves, and how they want to change it. So it's a great experience. So my kids really enjoyed day camp. Do any of the counselors swing to Colorado Mountain Camp or totally different? Same requirements for staff? Um, yes. So entirely different program, entirely different staff. It's Colorado Mountain Camp. We're all residential camps. It's not for everybody. You're on call 24 hours a day. We work, with minus our 2 weeks of training, we have 56 straight days of kids. Again, it's something where it's not for everybody, and we know that, and we hire specifically to find the right staff. And truly, out of all the staff that we have, we do not get day camp staff who cross over. It's a different type of position. It requires a specific type of person. So it is very different. Day camp staff have a little bit fewer requirements. They still do their CPR and their first aid and bloodborne pathogens, but they really don't get um, the leave no trace training and medication administration and some of those higher end things that we need because we're in the wilderness away from the real world for such an extended period of time. So our training is much more significant, although day camp is still well above and beyond the industry standard for our staff. What do you do if a kid sees an animal on the solo? Uh, that's great. That's fantastic. If they see an animal, hopefully we've taught them, at that time what to do and how to appropriately respond to that animal. So if you look on our website, there's lots of great photos that are taken on solo. So kids are taking selfies with huge elk behind them, a couple hundred yards away. But the kids understand that they are a part of nature, part of the environment. They know how to appropriately respond to an animal passing through, or if an animal is showing signs of aggression. They're all well trained ahead of time, and seeing an animal just is icing the cake on a solo for sure. Do kids bring cell phones to camp? No, absolutely not. So we are in a technology-free zone, completely unplugged. And so if we see it, we take it away. However, we're so far removed from anything, we don't even have cell reception if they brought it. So campers as well as staff are not able to check their phones or make phone calls or check Facebook or watch Netflix. A lot of it is blocked by the school. But again, we're just out there and we really want to unplug these children and show them like, hey, a couple of days in the woods, you don't even remember TV. It's nothing that bothers you at all. You don't even want to check that text message. And it's pretty amazing, especially the teens who are glued to their phones 24 hours a day, that their parents are bringing their cell phones to them on parent pickup day. And they're like, no, just throw it in your purse, throw it in the car. No urge or desire to go and check it and jump back into that lifestyle right away. So great questions. So we're kind of ending here. I could take one more question if someone's got a great question for me. However, again, please, definitely let me know what additional questions you have about camp. And thank you for taking the time to join the webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're thinking about joining camp this year, you can register online, give us a phone call tomorrow, or if you're interested in chatting about camp further or want me to come out to your house, give that presentation, would love to do so. It's so much better for me to get to know you and get to know the kids and answer your questions that way. So again, just thank you for taking the time and for trusting us with to sending your son or daughter to camp this summer. It's a huge responsibility we have on our shoulders, and it's not something that we take very lightly. Um, so great. I see no more questions are coming in. Thank you again, and I really, really do look forward to seeing you at camp. So take care. Have a great night.